and a bunch of other mental illness sufferers would probably like to know.
You're not you're dealing with it. You're not suffering. You're dealing with it. And you know what? If you're here today talking to us, then you're a mental illness conqueror, not a sufferer. So keep conquering.
I didn't think I was gonna cry. Okay. How did you muster up the courage to tell everyone that you had a mental illness, and how do you cope on bad days?
I got to a place where I frankly didn't have a choice. It was that or nothing, and it was a call for help, and help was offered more than I ever could have imagined. And a lot of times, you know, if you've dealt with mental conditions, then you just have an extra emotion bone, you have an extra thought bone, and some people can ignore it, some people can deal with it, and I'm truly happy for them. I couldn't, not without help and thought, but I realized looking at it was the best way to deal with it and conquer it. And so I got to the point where I had no other option. And thankfully I had y'all guys and some friends and family, including this short-haired dude next to me. Day by day. Love you.
Hey there.
Hi. So this question is for you, Jensen. My friends and I were wondering if in Lazarus Rising, for the scene where you come out of the grave, did they really have to bury you? Because they really did a good job of making it look like it, if not.
So, yes.
Next question.
What they did was they dug a fairly big hole, probably it's probably about 5 feet deep and about, I don't know, let's say five feet wide. And
How
they
long
put
was it?
5 feet. Let's go 5 all around.
It was a 5 square.
So, and it looked like a little, like a tornado shelter in the ground. So there was a hatch that they then covered it with sod and stuff after I got in. So I kind of crouched down and crawled in there, and then there was, in the ceiling, there was a hole about this big. And it had neoprene laid over it, so you know, like a wetsuit. And then it had just 2 layers of it, and then they poured dirt and everything all over that, so that it was basically under the ground level.
How many feet?
Like 13. And then I had to crawl through that little gap and bust through all the dirt. I will say the worst part about it was it was in the dead of summer, and it was probably close to 85, 90 degrees that day, and they didn't have any ventilation in the box. And so it was just it was so hot. Like you just immediately just pouring sweat and waiting for them to just, you know, slate and roll camera and get on with it. And then when they said action, then I start crawling through, and then just all the dirt is just like sticking to me and the twig, and it was bad. Allergy season, and I'm like, because that's how I sneeze. It's very disruptive. It's angry.
And always into a microphone.
Yeah.
I can't. Has anybody ever seen Ace Ventura: Pet Detective when nature calls? I can't help. The first time I watched it was amazing, but ever since then, whenever we're referring to it, I can't help but think about Jensen as Jim Carrey, like crawling out of the rhino, like.
That's what it felt like. Yeah, so that was...
Just handsomer.
It's
Need some water?
It was awful. I need a shower. Yeah, so that was pretty bad. But yes, I was married. Actually, and then getting to another time when I was buried in a coffin, alive, and I punched through it, and the dirt came down. Right? I don't remember what episode that was. That's what I thought. It's the same one, and then I crawl out. But the beginning of it is I wake up in the coffin. So I bust through the wood, and this was shot on stage, and so they had the one side of the coffin missing so that they could shoot the camera through it. So I'm sitting there, and I bust through the wood, and instead of dirt, which I guess I would have been fine with, they somehow thought that they'd be cool and nice to me and make it ground up Oreos. So they literally just put bags and bags of Oreos in a blender, blended it all up, and that was the dirt that they packed, that they had ready to just fall on my face once I cracked through. So
take five. He was like getting a larger size of pants.
Telling me not to eat the dirt. No, but the real problem was I forgot to put earplugs in. Oh. And they had ground it to like almost a fine powder. I mean, there were chunks and stuff, but the really, really fine stuff, if you ever just crush an Oreo in your hand, like, it can get pretty small, like the little granular stuff. So I was literally just digging, like, Oreo out of my ear for a week.
And eating it.
Still good. Got milk? Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi.
It's been referenced a couple times that Dean likes to watch anime. So what kind of anime does he watch?
What kind do you think? Just the regular kind, guys. I don't know what are you talking about.
I'll say this. You know what's funny is that this week we are filming a scene where we find out what kind of anime he watches. Episode 6, stay tuned. Thanks, Cass.